Against the icy composite of the pitch-black wall, Kalen calculated the math of his own survival. 2 seconds. That was the exact duration of the mystery unfolding outside his locked door. From the corridor, a faint vibration signaled the approach of 2 elite Zera sweepers. They moved with the synchronized precision of predators. One breath, through the reinforced door frame sliced a localized thermal blade, smelling of ionized ozone. The assassins had bypassed the security seals in absolute silence, intending to erase a political anomaly before sunrise. Would you have stayed quiet in the dark, or would you have counted the seconds, waiting for them to miss? That precise, sterile cold he remembered well. 3 weeks earlier, the identical temperature had greeted him upon his arrival at the Zenith Spire. Towering above the metropolis, the spire hummed with pale blue bioluminescence. Under those sweeping arches, his role as a consort tributary had officially commenced. Deep inside his duffel bag rested the Blackwood insignia. He left the tarnished iron emblem at the very bottom, hidden beneath folded tunics. The heavy crest carried the tactile weight of a surrendered outpost. To his new masters, Kalen represented nothing more than a defeated species apology, a living trophy given to High Matriarch Alara Vox to seal a ceasefire. Over the subsequent 21 days, Kalen perfected the art of the dull captive. In the elevated gallery, his handler, Tovin, routinely monitored the quarters. The official stood rigidly straight, his segmented armor clicking softly. Often, Tovin's bioluminescent skin flushed a dismissive violet, a biological tell indicating supreme boredom. Tapping his sternum twice with 2 fingers, Tovin delivered his formal assessment. The tributary lacks the cognitive density for complex instruction, the handler remarked. He simply stares at the floor grates. Because Zera's physiology equated absolute stillness with intellectual inferiority, they assumed the human was thoroughly broken. Their biology made them incapable of recognizing deliberate patience. They completely ignored his daily routine. Along the curved perimeter of his quarters, Kalen paced rhythmically. Left foot, right foot, his fingertips grazing the microscopic seams of the wall plating. He spent hours simply walking the exact same circuit. Through the soles of his boots, he carefully counted the deep, mechanical vibrations of the station humming beneath him. The carefully constructed facade held until the delegation banquet. Beneath the main hall's chandeliers, Archon Malker paused deliberately by the human. The towering politician harbored a vocal hatred for the treaty. Seeking to demonstrate absolute hierarchy, Malker sneered and tipped a goblet of ice water directly onto Kalen's lap. "Clean it, Stray," Malker commanded in high formal Zeris. Rather than cower, Kalen slowly looked up. "Only if you fetch the mop, sir," he replied softly. From the captive's lips, the words flowed effortlessly in a fluent, guttural working-class dialect, the exact slang used by the station's mechanical laborers. Around the hall, the skin of 50 Zeris dignitaries flared blinding crimson in synchronized shock. To the ruling council, a decorative pet was harmless. A pet that understood the slang of the infrastructure caste. That was a security breach. That calculated slip in protocol had forced the Archon's hand, triggering the midnight kill order currently melting through Kalen's door. Back in the pitch-black quarters, the thermal blade breached the locking mechanism. Through the smoking gap slipped the first sweeper. Using the acoustic angles mapped during his pacing, Kalen moved. He fought like a machine calculating structural failure. A sudden pivot, a deflected blade. Against the heavy bulkhead, the assassin crumpled, respiratory tubes severed. 3 cracked ribs Kalen sustained in the brutal exchange. The second sweeper fell seconds later, immobilized by a precise joint lock. When the emergency lights flared, Handler Tovin and High Matriarch Alara Vox stood paralyzed in the shattered doorway. Staring at the neutralized elites, Tovin's bioluminescence drained into a sickly gray. The silent, broken tributary was a fiction. Ignoring the dignitaries, the human limped toward the room's secondary diagnostic terminal. From the edge of the glass screen, Kalen casually wiped a small smudge of condensation with his thumb. Beneath those floor grates lay the spire's primary routing servers. Those weeks of rhythmic pacing had never been submission. Step by agonizing step, Kalen had been mapping the micro-vibrations of the data infrastructure. He located the exact coordinates where the Council's encryption experienced acoustic lag, finding a blind spot in the surveillance net. "Statute 71, Kalen stated in flawless, high-formal Zeris. Archon Malker will invoke it at dawn, dissolving this ceasefire and restarting the bombardments within 48 hours. Tapping his sternum twice, Tovin stepped backward. Billions of lives hung on a technicality. The peace treaty meant nothing if the Archon controlled the automated voting sequence. Bypassing the local security locks, Kalen initiated an unmonitored channel to Sector Command. Apologies for the broadcast, Commander. Neutralizing 2 sweepers caused a minor scheduling inconvenience. As his fingers flew across the interface, he utilized the physics of network routing decay. Signal latency drops by 6 milliseconds across the auxiliary nodes, creating a procedural collision in the registry. This artificial delay would freeze the legal systems, preventing the Archon from dissolving the bond. Yet this was not merely a political victory. In the lower maintenance sectors, a worker named Vale quietly polished exhaust manifolds. Vale dragged a heavy mechanical limp from a previous orbital strike, a permanent reminder of the last conflict. If the treaty fractured, the lower sectors would burn first, a guaranteed casualty. Saving the galaxy meant ensuring one mechanic survived. "You owe a massive debt to Caleb Thorne," Kalen transmitted, dropping the name of the human medic who saved the Xeris commander decades ago. "I am cashing it in. Veto the Archon." To Kalen, this was simple mathematics, leverage applied to the correct fulcrum. He failed to comprehend the absolute terror gripping Alara Vox as she watched an unarmed captive dismantle an empire. By sunrise, the registry confirmed the Archon's arrest for manipulation. Within the official Spire database, the human's classification shifted. The label of consort tributary vanished, erased completely. In its place, the system assigned strategic threat level Alpha. Sunlight breached the shattered door frame. Beside the active diagnostic terminal rested the heavy iron of the Blackwood insignia. He had pulled it from the dark bottom of his duffel bag. On the illuminated glass table, the crest sat openly, catching the morning glare.